Alright everyone, happy Sunday and welcome back to more Misericorde Volume 2, White Wool and Snow. It goes without saying that Hedwig's investigation continues on, and I gotta say it's been going at an interesting pace and we're progressing a lot more and getting more things done at the very least. Especially Hedwig, considering she has more of a carrot stick thing going on with she herself and Angela, I believe. So that's more of a... It's more of a reason for her to do what she does, besides also wanting to find out the truth, which we're all looking forward to seeing, if we even do get an ounce of that in this second part of the game. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to seeing how else this whole thing unravels. So if anything else, hope you'll join me in this, and yeah, let's carry on. I hopped out of bed and set about getting dressed before I even realized what I was doing. It was only when I paused for a moment halfway through straightening my wimple that I fully became myself. I had a purpose today, a clear set of goals that I knew that I could accomplish, despite my misgivings, and all-around confusion. Surrounding Angela, I at the very least felt far more motivated to deliver for her than I ever had for the Superior. I wonder why. As I left my room to join the others on the way to the chapel, I pondered why. Angela was a few steps ahead of the throng of nuns separated from the group. She glanced over her shoulder and caught my eye. I offered her a smile, but she turned away. There was the Angela I had known all this time. Still, despite our differences, Angela and I had more in common than I had considered until now. As she approached the chapel far ahead of anyone else, it struck me that she and I both stood alone from the others, her ahead, myself behind. Perhaps I should be further ahead with her. The two of us were the most pious and righteous women here. I brushed my robes flat across my hips. I was submerged in filthy waters, but perhaps Angela could grab hold of the line and pull me up to the surface. You're relying on her too much though, Hedwig. I get why, but... Inside the chapel, I briefly considered sitting next to Angela, but thought better of it. I settled into my usual pew. Mind if I join you? Not at all. Isn't that what you said last night, Catherine? Margaret had snuck around to the other side of the pew to box me in next to Catherine. Oh, hush. Catherine and Margaret sat down and each put an arm around me. Oh man. I want some details. Catherine keeps insisting that she doesn't tell tales about that sort of thing, which is rubbish. It is not. I am a proper lady of noble standing. It would be impolite to gossip. This is how I know she's lying. She usually tells me about what's been going on in her bed, whether I want to hear it or not. But please, we're in a church. I was shrinking in my seat. I resigned myself to playing this part, but there were some lines I could not cross, no matter how camouflaged I became. Listen to the poor woman, Margaret. We are in the house of God. Very well. I'm gonna bother you about it as soon as we step outside, though. Not acceptable. I had my orders. Loath as I was to say anything, I realized that I needed to give Margaret enough to get her off my case. Well, Catherine and I, we almost... She punched Catherine's shoulder. Ow! You said you did it, you cheat! I said that we did something. Besides, I would argue that what happened counts. Unbelievable. Margaret crossed her arms and made a show of sulking. Catherine leaned across me to talk to her friend. I did my best to stare ahead and ignore them, but they continued bickering over the top of me. Our bitch touched. I, for one, think that counts. That just sounds like you were hugging. I didn't realize you were a sexual notary. Honestly, Hedwig, can you believe this woman? You shouldn't let her tell tales about you. I'm not telling tales. Our bits touch, Margaret. I don't know why, that just makes me laugh. The chapel door opened and I was spared the rest of the argument. Both Margaret and Catherine straightened up and pretended to be sitting attentively as the Superior marched down the aisle to take the pulpit. The bishop followed behind her and took his usual seat toward the front. I glanced around the room. Flora had been wheeled in by Darcy today. Drat, if Darcy was meant to be responsible for Flora today, checking in with her about the smoke in her story might prove difficult. Violet and Bridget were seated far away from Flora, which surprised me. They were whispering to each other and occasionally glancing over at Flora. I hoped that they hadn't already had a falling out. They caught my eye and quickly turned, appearing to giggle. I blushed a little, hoping my conversation with Margaret and Catherine hadn't carried too far. Whatever debasement I had to subject myself to, I couldn't let the younger set find out what was going on. If the Superior and I agreed on anything, it was this. They deserved the proper abbey, a real life of devotion. Service passed without much of a note. As the sisters milled about outside, I kept an eye out for Darcy and Flora. Eventually, I could hear the wheel trundling down the aisle. I stepped out to greet them as they stepped out into the morning sun. Hello, Darcy. Hello. Nice to see you too, Hedwig. I apologize. I didn't mean to be rude. Uh-huh. Flora seemed to be in a low mood. I wondered if she, too, had noticed that the other women had sat away from her. I just really need to talk to Sister Darcy about something. Huh, can it wait? I would love to chat, but I am very, 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 very busy today. I'm taking care of Flora while she paints, and then I have to tend to the garden and pick the last of the produce before it starts snowing. And then I have to cook luncheon, and then I have to take the sheep down the mountain for the winter, and then it will probably be time to cook dinner. Darcy really did carry the whole abbey on her back. And then I'll probably spend the evening going through the pantry just in case the builders are going to need anything. Bit worried, I must admit. I'm so sorry, Darcy. That sounds overwhelming. Yes. I'll be fine, though. I really must speak with you. Would you like to walk down to the village with me? You could help with the sheep. That did sound like a perfect opportunity to talk to Darcy away from anxious ears, but I was also meant to visit James with Angela. And even if it did work out, that would be a lot of walking, I thought to myself selfishly. I would love to. Wonderful. Oi, Flora. Want to spend the morning with us? We're going to work in the cellar. Sister Adela said you should come and give us tips. Really? I mean, yeah. I've got some stuff I can do in there. Flora relaxed a little, and Darcy smiled at me as she rolled Flora toward the cellar with Bridget and Violet in tow. Everyone was filtering out into the cloister off to their daily tasks. I stopped code. Daily tasks. I was meant to write my chronicles as usual, with Eustace no less. I sighed. I would make it as quick as I possibly could. I looked around the departing sisters and realized that Eustace had not joined us for service. Oh gee, I wonder why. I would love to just go on a chapter without Eustace, but I know she's important to this story, and that, she plays a big role that we have yet to find out about, but we will, hopefully, before this part ends. As much as I disapprove of skipping service, I relish the idea of not having to sit in close proximity to Eustace while I wrote. And what would I write? As I climbed the stairs, my stomach turned over. I was certainly not going to write about my evening with Catherine, or my encounters with Angela. I hadn't written about my little excursion in the field either. What exactly could I write about? I was deep in thought when halfway up the stairs I could hear voices ahead. Hiya. Hello, Hedwig. Off to work? Indeed I am. There might be a problem. Problem? Door is locked. Eustace is working on something and she's in a mood. Oh, get that! No, break that door down. Oh dear. I stepped forward to try the door. It was indeed locked. I wouldn't test her. We were trying to get in earlier to look something up and she nearly bit our heads off to the door. Oh no. I recoiled from the door hoping I wasn't about to get another earful from Eustace. For a moment, panicked thoughts bounced around my head. What if this was the thing that set her off for good? Thankfully, nothing happened. No, please, set her off already. Let's just do it, and then smack her around. Just do it! I'm so tired of Eustace. I really don't like her. You know what? It's funny I say this because for all I know, as the story progresses into the third part, which I will, be happily waiting for whenever it comes out, she's probably doing, and she probably meant what she said when she exclaimed that she's doing this to protect everyone. But nonetheless, I don't like the way she's going about it, and I hate that she's manipulating people, or at the very least, Hedwig. The way she's doing, the way that she's planning it, and it's getting on my nerves, and I don't like that. That's kind of why I'm not fond of her to begin with. I didn't like her in part 1. I was honestly like kind of simmering with her, and I was fine with that. I'm like, okay, she'll grow on me, that type of character. No, she grew into a character I just if I don't detest her now, it's showing already. Looks like you got a free day. That's quite a relief, to tell you the truth. I've got rather a lot of other tasks today. Oh, I realized I had no excuses. The superior wants to check in with me about the writing, and I think she might also want me to teach the new oblit a thing or two. I was getting too good at making things up, I thought to myself. Sounds like her. Well, I'm off. I promised I'd help out in the cellars today against my better judgment. Oh no. Perhaps I wasn't getting too good at making things up. Or perhaps I'll join you. I have nothing to do this morning and I wouldn't mind helping out with the sherry. Sure, I warn you though, it still tastes awful. Everything is a process. I suppose all three of us will head back downstairs then. Oh, yes, of course. I apologize, I was still thinking about the library. I stared at the door for a moment, wondering what on earth Eustace was locked up inside doing. I turned to leave with the others, back down the stairs toward the cellars. I realized halfway down the stairs that I might be caught in a lie if we happen to run into the superior outside of her office. What do you two think of Violet and Bridget? I'm a bit surprised she didn't know she'd be shorn. Whichever one that was, I haven't gotten the names down yet. Violet is the tall one and Bridget is the short one. Wait, no. Other way around. Anyway, they seem a fine sort. A bit young. I doubt we'll be seeing much of them. What do you mean? They're around Flora's age, aren't they? They'll stick together. Thank goodness for that, honestly. Happy to have them, of course, but I'm not expecting to make new friends. Yes, to be honest, I was hoping they'd be closer to our age as well. Well, one day they'll be our age. But we'll be that much older. True. Although I think you can stop counting years after a while. At a certain point, you're just a woman. That's a funny way of looking at things, but I think I see what you mean. What about Marta and Charity, though? It's not like we spend as much time with them. Well, there's another threshold. You think there's just a certain point where one becomes old? Exactly. What's the threshold, then? Whichever birthday Catherine is approaching. We all chuckled. We arrived the stairs down to the cellars. Well, this is us. Have a good day, Hedwig. You as well. I waved them off, hoping desperately that my lie about helping the new oblets wouldn't come up if they ended up working together today. The pair descended below. I exhaled, but it turned out that I couldn't stop acting just yet. Oh, hello, Darcy. Cellar's popular today. Hello, you two. She emerged from the darkness as Margaret and Mara disappeared, looking fairly cheerful. Oh, hello, Hedwig. Oh, greetings. What are you up to? Oh, just dropped Flora off down to do some work in the cellars. Bridget and Violet are there too. Goodness, it's busy in there today. Bit busy, I must admit. Oh well, they are young. Idle chatter with Darcy was always pleasant, but I had an opportunity I had to seize. Flora was more or less captive in that cellar. I could speak to Darcy first and then move in on her. Darcy? Yes? Oh dear, you look rather serious. A long time ago now, you told me all about the day. You know, the day Catherine was found dead? You have an interest in the body? Not exactly. It's something else. When we spoke, you mentioned something about smoke. I remember. I did indeed. Do you remember anything else about that? Possibly. Why though? Well, I don't know if you've heard, but I've been collecting everyone's stories about that period of time. Since Catherine couldn't write about it, obviously. I thought I might fill in the gap. Something of a tribute to her, you know? Ah, I see. And the smoke just feels like a significant detail. If nothing else, it's quite an image. I suppose it is. See, that look indicates suspicion. To me, at least. Or if not, concern. Maybe anxious? Well, there's not much to it. I was walking back to the Abbey and I saw a lot of smoke coming from the dorm chimney. Is that significant? I mean, was it more smoke than you might have seen any other day? From a fire being lit in the morning to keep the place warm? I could not tell you for certain, but it does stick out in my memory. If memory serves, it would be a bit early for the morning fire since we usually light that after service even in the colder months. But I do not know. Maybe someone was cold and wanted it lit earlier. Not as conclusive as I would have liked. But nonetheless, it's an important part of your memory of the day. Absolutely. Well, that was something at least. I'll be sure to note it then. That's good. Would you do me an immense favor? What's that? Don't tell Eustace I asked you about this. She has been a bit touchy about my asking about this subject. That makes sense. She and Catherine were very close. I don't talk to her about it either. Really? Yes. They had big plans, grand ideas, and so on. Eustace lost something when Catherine died, and I don't like how she gets when the subject comes up. I understand. I would just like for all this to be over. Sometimes I think I'd rather never hear about Catherine again. Ooh, this was a dour side of Darcy indeed. And then I feel awful for thinking that. I don't know. I think filling in those chronicles is a good idea. Maybe then the matter can be put to rest for good. Is there anything else you think I should add to the story? There was smoke and something felt wrong. And the people who were closest to Catherine were the quietest. That's what I would write about, but I'm not a chronicler and certainly not a poet. That is immensely helpful, Darcy. Thank you. Of course. I could hear the telltale sound of rain picking up. Perfect timing, huh? Was there anything else? Actually, if it isn't too much trouble, could you bring Flora back up here? Not right away. An hour, perhaps. I'd like to make the same inquiries of her. Of course. I'm sure she would be happy to help. She shuffled back down to the cellar staircase. I was alone with my thoughts for a moment. Those closest to Catherine were the quietest. That was a far more trenchant insight than I possibly could have hoped for, and just before meeting with the superior no less. Angela would be very happy with me, I was certain. It would make up for my being late. When I knocked on the door and spoke my name, it was Angela who beckoned me inside. Indeed, I could sense a touch of annoyance in her expression as I stepped into the room. She, the superior, and the bishop had clearly started without me. Greetings, Hedwig. Angela tells me you should have made some significant progress today. Yes. In fact, I had a very fruitful conversation with Darcy. Good girl. What did you find out? Well, the smoke. Has Angela filled you in on the smoke? Yes. Darcy confirmed that the smoke felt significant to her. Felt significant? In that it was probably a little early to be seeing smoke coming from that chimney. I also remember smoke. I believe I do at any rate. It's a small, perhaps spurious detail, but it is something. That isn't all, though. She mentioned that those who were closest to Catherine were the quietest, when I asked if there were anything else she thought bore mentioning in my chronicles. Does that mean anything? Of course, Catherine's closest friends would be quietest after her death. They would be the most affected naturally. Well, I suppose that is true. No, I think Hedwig is right. That is a significant detail. Explain. Well, if we knew who those people were, could we not focus on their stories? See what the elements do and do not match? You have it backwards. If there is some conspiracy those closest to Catherine are ashamed of, then they will have worked diligently to get their stories straight. We can pinpoint who those people are based on how closely their stories match, and I have a sneaking suspicion what might unite them. And that would be... Angela shot me a disappointed look. Smoke, Hedwig. Or rather, the lack thereof. You believe that the conspirators left smoke out of their stories on purpose? I would not be surprised. The bishop, who had looked deep in thought this whole time, finally chimed in. This is a very small thing to go on. That boy has been holed up in the hospitalum for far too long. I pity him despite his assumed crimes. Surely at this point it would be just thing to do to bring him to the diocese. He could stand trial. Perhaps this smoke story could be testimony, but I cannot see any reason to delay things any further. I want this done correctly. If there is even a shred of hope that James is innocent, I want it investigated. But why, Mabel? Why? Nobody in the diocese will think any less of Limbarrow. What difference does it make if it was an outsider or an insider who killed poor Catherine? The truth makes a great deal of difference to me, and nobody can think any less of Limbarrow as it is. But if I win the day doing the right thing, the hard thing, rather than the easy thing, perhaps people might think of more of Limbarrow. Gotta respect the superior for that. I really do. I admire that. The bishop sighed wearily and threw his hands up. Very well, we can discuss this further later. The superior nodded, then retrieved a key ring from her desk and handed it to Angela. You know the way to Hospitalum yourselves? Of course. Off you go then. May you find something useful. Alright, we're gonna meet up with the guy again. Angela and I bowed and left the office. I could hear muffled arguments beginning as soon as the door closed. It was raining rather hard by the time Angela and I made it beyond the abbey walls. The clouds were dark and dense. The whole world was gray. We traveled side by side in silence for a while, which allowed me to take in the grim majesty of the surrounding hills as I pondered what to ask the stable boy. Our last conversation had exonerated Catherine to a degree. What else could he have seen? Would he remember smoke? Did that matter? I glanced over at Angela. I wonder what she thought about all this. What is it? Excuse me? You're staring. Spit it out. Oh. I've just been wondering what to ask James. Anything and everything we can think of. The smoke for one thing, I suppose. Irrelevant at this point. We know what we need to know about that. We should ask him for exhaustive details about the moments leading up to his capture. Perhaps not too exhaustive. He was betting Catherine after all. Angela sneered. How did your little rendezvous with her play out, by the way? Well, she wanted to make sure I excised that part of the story from anything I wrote in my chronicles. Goodness gracious. How sad. I might respect her more if she was proudly shameless. But she wants you to hide that fact for her? Unbelievable. Have you and her always been so adversarial? She snorted and brushed some raindrops off her face. No. You may find this surprising, but I was on rather good terms with most everyone until Catherine's demise. Really? Don't ask me to repeat myself. When I speak to you, I speak the truth. You can listen and ask thoughtful questions, but I loathe repeating myself. I apologize. I've always had a bit of resentment about this place, but I used to enjoy the company of its people far more. Catherine and I were good friends. Likewise, I was on grand terms with the other Catherine for a while. What happened? Catherine II. The first cannot stand that Shema, by the way. And I used to study classical literature together. We would read old texts, and she was particularly interested in my language skills. I speak Italian, you see. It came in handy when she found stories or poems she fancied translating. Is that 2? Second Commedia? Yes. How did you know? It was recommended to me a few times now. It is ancient low-browed trash, but I cherished Catherine's company and eagerly helped her translate it out of Italian into something more readable. Then she suddenly decided she was more interested in the theater, told the other Catherine that she was a great actress and I was left alone. I've heard several similar stories now. Yeah, Catherine the First always had such low attention span, I guess. Like, she would be interested in one thing, and then she'd get bored of it, and then move on to another thing, which would disappoint the people that she was connecting with, because she would, it'd feel like she abandoned them. Both Catherine II and Catherine were, and are, inconsistent, inconsiderate, and flighty. I made enemies telling everyone else at the Abbey that they deserved better than being muses for a woman with no follow-through. Somehow, I doubted this was the only reason Angela was so disconnected from her fellow sisters. Nevertheless, I appreciated the candor. It did, at the very least, make some sort of sense. Even if it was a half-truth, I had a new sense of empathy for her. Everything I've heard about Catherine makes her sound difficult. She was. She used people, even if that wasn't her intent. Nothing and nobody was ever good enough for her. She was ravenous. That's why her gaze fell to you eventually, I am sure. She could never resist something out of her reach. I considered this quietly. It was hard to argue against Angela's characterization of Catherine. The behavior of the other sisters certainly fit her assessment. Is that all I had been to Catherine? Pray? It's all I was to the others. I shivered and crossed my arms over my chest, suddenly feeling self-conscious about how my robes were beginning to cling to my body in the rain. I decided to change the subject. Why do you stay at Limbarrow? Because I have work to do. My service comes before anything else. But surely it must be miserable. You seem to be making friends, yet you are miserable just the same. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. And you will be until you are relieved of your duty. We have a job to do. A calling. And if we should suffer until it is done, so be it. Perhaps I will leave, should I ever feel satisfied with this mystery's conclusion. But I do not waste time thinking about that. Where would you go? Italy. You attended a convent there before. I remember you telling me. Yes. Would you return to the same convent? Perhaps. Why did you leave? I think that's enough conversation for now. I didn't press her. We walked the rest of the way to the hospitalum in silence. The rain never let up. Our traveling cloaks were nearly soaked through when we arrived. As Angela unlocked the door to the dungeon, I could not help but notice the rainwater was falling through the hole that was James' only source of light and fresh air. Calling it a window would be a disservice. I felt the pang of sympathy for the poor wretch as we descended the stairs of his cage. In an instant, he rushed forward to the bars and gripped them. His fingers were dirty and bloody. He looked far worse than he had the last time I had seen him. You! Are you here to let me out? Am I free? No, I am sorry. You ain't sorry. It's you who put me here. He leveled a bony finger at Angela. She didn't flinch. You have some nerve visiting me here. I gotta wring your neck. Angela merely arched an eyebrow. That would be ill-advised. I have been convinced of your innocence, but there is work to be done before we can release you. We have some more questions for you. More? What else could there be? I told your superior everything, and I told you everything. We are working for you. Fuck off. No, you isn't. If you was, I'd be free by now. Let me out, set me free. I won't tell no one. I'll run away, far away. I'd rather take my chances in the woods than spend one more moment in this godforsaken pit. His clothes were ragged, his eyes were sunken. There was an unmistakable stench of waste permeating the room. I understood the bishop's perspective. It was hard to believe that this was all in service of exonerating poor James. Did you see or smell smoke the day you were apprehended? Huh? Smoke? What does that matter? It matters a great deal, believe it or not. So answer truthfully. Smoke. Smoke. Yeah, I smelled smoke. Figured it was the kitchen or fireplace or a summit. Angela and I exchanged a look. Or I didn't see smoke, I smelled nothing at all. Which is the right answer? I'll see whatever you want, whatever you need. Just please set me free. Pick one. What? Smoke or no smoke? This is very important. No smoke. No, wait! Yes, smoke! Yes, it's a smoke! You're certain? Yes, I'm sure of it. Smoke, smoke, smoke! Smoke, 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 smoke! He was babbling now. I almost didn't want to see him lose. Tell us everything you saw. Every last detail of that night and the morning when you were caught. Again? Again. You want to hear it all again? I told you before, but you didn't believe me. You threw me in here. Please. We're close to discovering something important. I'm sure of it. If there's anything in your account that we have missed, a detail who was there and when, it could make all the difference. I brought the mail up late that night. Supposed to do it in the morning, but I wanted to do it early, see. Got word from Catherine that she wanted to see me. Parked the car in the front stable, gave the mule something to eat. Snuck up to the dorms like I normally did. I fucked Catherine good and proper and then we fell asleep. Woke up to somebody banging on all the doors, saying to get up now. Something horrible had happened. Catherine left first and told me to leave out the window to get to my cart. Said her door was too squeaky for me to leave safely to see. But I'm no climber. I panicked and bolted out the door as soon as I could. Noise be damned. I saw the dopey sister of yours coming through the archway where I have to pass through to get to me cart, so I turned around. Thought I'd just run around the long way. But then you found me. You pointed at Angela again. And now here I am. Naught but the devil to keep me company. Is there anything else? No! I jumped. As I said, I'll tell you whatever you want. Just let me out of here. We spoke to your family the other day. Let them know about you like you asked. Do you think I can see them like this? They shouldn't ever see me again. There's no one left for me. Just me and the prince. The prince? The only one who can help me. He lets me out, you know. Gives me things to do. Says I can earn my freedom another way. What are you talking about? He's a funny old sort. Voice like a woman, dressed all in black. Blacker even than you lot. Can't see his face. Pretty boy sounds like. And he brings me gifts. He's helping me get out of here. Faster than you lot. Delirium. He lets you out? Not for long. Keeps me on a leash. Gives me very specific instructions. Can't run off or he'll kill my poor folks. Fair is fair, I suppose. Can't complain. He's giving me real help. This is ridiculous. His mind is utterly gone. These are the dreams of a desperate man. Look. Look. He scurried over to the corner of his cell. There was not much light, but eventually I could see what he was gesturing at. When I recognized it, I gasped. No! What on earth is that? A spell. One that'll set me free. All I have to do is what the devil asks. And that's a small price to pay compared to what you lot have put me through. No, Angela, we have to get out of here, right now! Calm down, Hedwig, it means nothing. He's mad. No, I mean it, Angela. James began to laugh, a horrible raspy cackle. Explain yourself, Hedwig. I've seen that circle before, in the walls of the Abbey. Get a hold of yourself. She whipped her arm forward and gripped my right ear, tugging me back up the stairs into the rain. I could still hear James's horde cackling echoing throughout the dungeon below. What is the matter with you? That thing on the wall, it's real. I don't know what it is, but it works. It summoned that creature I saw that night. Everyone thought I was playing a prank. I thought that was Eustace. It wasn't Eustace. She claims it was, but I've seen it too many times now. I've seen it while Eustace was standing right in front of me. Flora drew that same sigil on a wall deep in a hidden passage, and I think it summoned something terrible. She insisted it wasn't meant to do that, but seeing it again here, what else could it be for? Whoever gave James that information gave it to Flora as well, and it works. In the background, James's laughter had given way to a horrid dry wheeze. Flora drew a magic circle on the walls of Limbarrow? Yes. This is the mystery holding me back from accusing Eustace calling it a day. As obvious as her behavior is, it does not satisfy all of my questions. That is understandable. We absolutely must focus on what we know is real first. James says he saw smoke. That is our North Star as far as I am concerned. I agree that's important, but you must believe me. Flora wasn't simply unlucky. She didn't get her leg caught in that door purely by accident. When I found her, she was being chased by something. It was a terrible beast, billowing smoke, and it smelled the brimstone. I would not tell you this if I did not think it was important, Angela. Please believe me. Please believe me. If I accept this story, what would it change? What could we do differently? That young man is hungry and thirsty and most likely mad. He would say anything to upset us. And if he is telling the truth, what would change? If the devil is agents walking the earth and offering James bargains, would our role not still be to do the Lord's work? To do things the right way? If he is making deals with the devil, that is his loss. Perhaps we can save his soul as well as his life. But Angela, I've seen this beast he speaks of. The faceless figure. I've seen it outside my cell and on the landings of the Abbey and atop the tower overlooking the garden. Coincidences. Oh, Angela, come on. I'm just starting to like you. It is not coincidence. There tends to be a lot of people dressed all in black around Abby's Hedwig. What about creatures that bring the very fires of hell with them wherever they go? Or ghosts that can light swords of flame? Did you really see those things, Hedwig? Yes! Sister Angela, do you remember that night in the workshop? I know you must fear something greater is at work here, because you asked me if I thought we were all in danger. I answered honestly. I said yes, because I had just been face to face with a creature straight out of the darkest recesses of hell. If this is true, why haven't you fled this wretched abbey? I hardly believe you are that brave or that stupid. Because I have work to do, Angela. Just like you. Angela stared at me through the rain. She looked disbelieving, but also, dare I say it, impressed. Then I must ask again. What should we do? Is Eustace your suspect, or Satan? I peered through the rain toward the abbey, far in the distance. Both? I'm always going to suspect Eustace regardless. One is much easier to deal with than the other. You're right. All we can do is focus on what we know is real first. Perhaps we can find the truth before the devil wins. Angela nodded. In that case, we should be getting back. There's nothing else we can get out of that poor wretch now. It was raining even harder by the time we made it back to the abbey. Angela guided us to the outer courtyard, where I had fainted in front of Catherine, where I had stared down the beast, and toward the treacherous stairs I had carried Flora down. We shall split up here. I'll head up the stairs to the door, and you can continue on the cloister, just in case prying eyes wonder why we have been traveling together. A sound idea. Should we tell the Superior about our discovery? I think she might overreact. Let Moira or somebody else bringing James meals report it to her if they notice it. Our job is to piece a whole story together, not jump at every shadow. Very well. I suppose if James did manage to summon a monster, it'd just as likely kill him as any of us. And then we'd all have bigger problems. Nobody is summoning any monsters, Hedwig. I hoped she was right. She began to climb the stairs. The hook finally tugged at me. You said I would be rewarded. Excuse me? Last night, you mentioned that I would be rewarded for my work. I think I performed admirably today. Oh my god. Angela smiled ruefully. Have I overstepped? It hardly seems like an appropriate time. We have work to do. I had no argument for her, I said nothing. After a moment, she snorted. Very well. She turned away again, but then... Wow. Wow, are we serious? Angela, really? She hiked up her skirt to reveal her bare bottom. I stared in silence. Satisfied? Yes. No, you aren't. But that'll be all you get for now. Well, we know Angela's a tease too, apparently. She let the cloth fall back to the ground. Whatever depravity you engage in with the others in the course of your mission, remember that I am the only one who truly understands what you want. What is that? The impossible. The thing just out of your reach. All the pleasures of Sodom would leave you empty. A glimpse of flesh where it shouldn't be excites you more than anything a man could give you in the bedroom or one of these sisters could give you behind closed doors. Am I correct? I think you have thought about this far more than I ever have. There was that smile again. Of course. We'll reconvene tomorrow night in the garden. Yes, Angela. She left up the stairs and hurried toward the cloister. I hoped that nobody would see how red my face was. I was feeling rather motivated. A touch jumpy. Perhaps I should have taken a breather. Settled down for a moment. A million ideas were bouncing around inside my head, however. The sky was gray. I hoped that I had not missed my opportunity to speak to Flora. As I restlessly paced back and forth in front of the cellar stairs, I heard an odd sound. I looked around. There was no immediately apparent source. Just then, I heard another sound. The familiar clunking of Flora's wheelbarrow being dragged up to the stairs. Here we are. Did either of you hear that odd sound just now? Something of a whistle? Maybe. Bit hard to hear anything over this thing bouncing around. I did not hear anything. No matter. There were more pressing things to attend to. Thank you, Darcy. And thank you for agreeing to this, Sister Flora. I didn't agree to anything. Darcy just sort of yanked me away. Sorry about that. Whatever. Oh, headway, by the way. Did you still want to help me with the sheep? Ah, right. Oh, of course, I would love to help you, Darcy. I just couldn't bear to disappoint her. She beamed at me. It'll be fun. This is a big one. We'll be taking them down to the village to be stabled for the rest of the year. There'll be snow soon and they'll freeze up in those mountains. We're herding them all the way down to the village? Goodness, that'll be quite a trek. We'll be back just in time for supper, I imagine. That's quite a busy day. Anyway, I'm gonna go and prepare for that. Come and find me by the archway when you're ready, Hedwig. Very well. Can we get this over with? I'm sorry, Flora. I didn't mean to pull you away from your work or your friends. You've been treating me odd ever since I got my leg stuck in the door. You hate cripples or something? That's not fair. I'm when I saved your life that night. Why do you treat me like common vermin then? Sister Flora, I would rescue you 1,000 more times if I had to, but if I find some of your recent behavior astounding, forgive me if I have a hard time speaking with you. My behavior? The hell are you on about? I moved behind her and picked up the handles of the wheelbarrow. If you try to dump me down the stairs, I'll scream. Don't be ridiculous. I'm just gonna take us somewhere more private. I maneuvered the cart over the cobblestones, wondering where a good place to speak would be. I'd rather not speak at all, but my big fat mouth had chastised Flora before my rational mind had been able to ward me away from disaster. There weren't many places free from the rain. I decided that the opposite corner of the cloister would have to do. I set the handles down as gently as I could, and then stood in front of Flora, my arms folded. I'm sorry, I should not have said all that in front of Sister Darcy, but you have made my life very difficult. Poor you. Go on then, let's get it over with. My behavior? I'm stuck in this bloody barrow. I couldn't behave any sort of way even if I wanted to. What have you been hiding from me? Hiding from you? We barely had time to talk to each other since I admitted. You know, the sigil? Last time we spoke about that, you were very withholding. I need you to tell me everything you know. Now. I did. Please don't lie to me, Sister Flora. You wouldn't tell me where you learned of it or what it does. And now I've seen another one just like it. I can't tell you. All I know is that thing isn't my fault. It can't be. Why not? It's been here for ages. You've seen it before that night? Yeah, a couple of times. And that would have been before I finished the circle. When did you see it? Told you one already. Remember my ghost story back in the Misericorde? The figure you saw outside the Superior's office? That's the one. It can pass through walls and things, I think. What do you mean? Well, when I saw it in the office, I hid as soon as I saw something at the window. It was definitely outside, yeah, but I heard it moving around inside for sure. My goodness. I saw it once before then too, up in the tower near the garden. I tensed up. This detail echoed eerily with things I'd seen myself. What was it doing? Not sure. It looked like it was holding something or throwing something, but I didn't want to stick around. I was a bit worried it would see me. Maybe it did. Maybe that's why it tried to kill me. It's changing, you know? It looks a little different now. When I saw it in the hallway my first night here, it looked different than when it chased us. Yeah, it's like it's growing or something. I don't think it's Catherine anymore, just so you know. It's something else. Have you told anyone else about this? Has anyone else seen it? God, no. Everyone would think I gone completely mad. Well, I don't think you're going mad. But I do need you to tell me all about that sigil, even if you think it didn't summon the beast. Not that. I'm sorry. I've said everything I can say about it. Flora, please. This is extremely important. It's important to me as well. I can't tell anyone. Where did you find out about it? How did you learn about magic sigils in the first place? What, you think you can wear me down? I don't want to talk about this, Hedwig. You have to tell me. No, I don't. What are you gonna do, huh? Smack it out of me? I raised my hand instinctively, and I saw Flora tense up in her seat. If I have to. This is deathly. Gravely important, Flora. I stopped myself from slapping her across the back of the head, but it wasn't out of mercy. A better idea had crossed my mind. I marched behind the wheelbarrow and gripped the handles and spun Flora around to roll around to the oh my god. I stood under the stone ceiling, gripping the wheelbarrow handles tightly. Rain began to fall into Flora, gently pinging against her metal boot. She cackled. What the hell? You're fucking insane! And you may well be an agent of Satan, wittingly or unwittingly. I promise you that circle isn't anything evil, alright? I won't tell you what it does or who told me about it, but I can give you my word it's nothing too nefarious. That's not good enough. The very medium's nefarious. Look, I know it's not good, and it's not biblical or anything, but it's got nothing to do with inviting anything evil to the Abbey. Like I said, what's evil here has been here far longer than me or you. I've seen it all over. Darcy's probably seen it. She talks about how haunted this place is all the time. I'd wager that those other ghost stories they all told in the Misericorde that night were the same thing. You need to tell me what it was meant to do, Flora. And who taught it to you? She shifted in her seat. She was getting uncomfortable. Good. We need her uncomfortable right now because we need answers. It sucks that we have to do it this way, but Flora is our key. It's not related, I swear it. I fucked up. I'm bad. You can hate me all you like for dabbling in magic and whatnot, but I'm telling you, the two aren't related. I'm not moving until you tell me what I need to know. Suits me. What, you think I'm going to drown this drizzle? She shifted in her seat again. What does it matter so much? I swear to you that circle has nothing to do with that ghost. I've already proven it to you, yeah? It existed well before I carved anything. I need to know more. Or what, you'll tell the Superior I carved something nasty on her Abbey's walls? If I have to. Go ahead. Maybe she'd send me away, get me out here for good. She'd send you to a tribunal, perhaps. The bishop is here. Your punishment would probably be harsh and swift. If he taught you you'd been trifling with devilry? It's supposed to be some sort of transportation spell, right? Takes you away? Where? Dunno. That never really mattered to me. Listen, can you bring me back under the roof? I'm getting soaked. Who taught it to you? I can't say. And I won't. I wouldn't tell anyone. I made a promise. Was it Eustace? I'm not saying. Pause for a moment. Was it Catherine? Catherine II? Fuck off! No, it wasn't. The magic circle being transportive made some sort of sense, I suppose. At the very least, I believed that she believed that's what it was for. Flora had expressed a desire to leave before, and naturally, that would be the kind of magic James would want in his predicament. Even if he too was being taught something far more dangerous, but Flora wasn't budging on the source. It was infuriating, but I felt a pang of guilt watching the raindrops pelt their hood. I wheeled her back into the hall. You really won't tell me? Never, especially not now. What that was all that about? I'm sorry, it's just... I need to find out more about this beast. It doesn't bother you knowing it's out there? I don't feel safe. If I hadn't been there that night your leg was broken, yeah, well, you'll just have to learn to live with it. Oh, see, I don't like that. You know what? Trip her off. At this point, just trip her off. Don't send her down the stairs or anything, but just trip her off. Trip her off in the rain. Let her drench a little bit. Let her soak. I did. We all did. And it isn't my fault I carved that thing slowly. The ghost was showing up well before it was even close to finished. I never got to finish it, in fact. So that's that. Maybe I'm hellbound for messing around with magic, but I did it for good reasons and I can rest easy knowing I didn't summon that thing. I'm comfortable keeping my promise. And please, don't tell the superior I carved anything. Just then, 2 pairs of footsteps came echoing down the cloister. Oi, Flora. What? Me and Bridget were looking all over for you. We was about to go play chess in the library and wanted to know if you'd come along. The bearish smile flickered over Flora's face. Violet kept scratching and adjusting her hood. Chess is for 2 people, though. We play fast. We can take turns. Have you all completed your work for the day? Didn't have any. Only a tour from the superior. She's nice, isn't she? A bit stuck up and all, but not too bad. Less than my old one, that's for certain. The library's locked today, I believe. Huh? We knocked earlier and Sister Eustace said we could use it. Oh. Whatever Eustace had been doing was finished then. In that case, would you all mind if I came along? Oh, I suppose so. I was hoping we wouldn't have a chaperone. It's only chess, we aren't looking to burn the place down. Oh, no, I don't intend to get in the way. I don't want to play chess, but I wasn't able to get my own work done today, since the library was locked up. Do you have to work in the library? Violet, let her. We don't have the right to say where the other sisters can and can't work. Well, no, but, you know, courtesy and all. It's fine. Let her. Hedwig is no trouble. Flora was offering me a baleful look. Was this a peace offering, an apology, or was she afraid of me? Regardless, I moved to pick up her wheelbarrow and guide the young sisters toward the stairs up to the 2nd floor.
When you want to get off that darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down.